Welcome to Yeshiva Daf Shir sponsor Nishma Saim Yakashol Mea Basitzchok. We're holding Basra Daf Kuf Mem Gimel. Amud Aleph on top. The Gemara just ended the sugya. The Gemara said, "Why is it so when you give a kinyan to the story is a person told the woman, your kids will inherit me." Came his older kid from his previous marriage and said, "What about me?" He says, "You will inherit like these kids." Says the Gemara, it doesn't work. Why not? Prior to conception. Why? Because the kids don't inherit. He can't inherit either. It is at kani kechamor. I want you to be koine like a donkey. In other words, the same way the donkey is not koine, you're not koine either. The same way the kids are not koine, you're not koine either. That's what the Gemara ended. The second line is koni kechamor mikoni. The itmar we learned. Koni kechamor loikon. When a person says, you can be koine like the donkey, you're not koine. At v'chamor, if he says, you will be koine, you and the chamor, you and the donkey will be koine. Didn't say you're going to be koine like the donkey. You and the donkey will be koine. Nachon omar kono mechza. V'avnun omar lo yomar klum. V'asheshes omar konakol. Three sheets. Now it says he was koine half. Why? He said the donkey will be koine half, you will be koine half. He didn't depend on each other. It's not toilet. He didn't say you could be koine only if the donkey is koine. Like, Kani kechamor will be koine like the chamor. So you're koine and the chamor is koine. Chamor is not able to be koine, so therefore he doesn't get his half. But you're getting your half. Very good. Arnuna says lo yamaklum. Why lo yamaklum? It's one kinyan, and if half doesn't work, half doesn't work. That's how many of Rishonim learn. The response is a little different. He says has a problem with Gmir's das. He said I want to give to the donkey and to the boy into this person. Oh, it doesn't work. So forget about the whole thing. I never said it. And Rasheja says, Kona koil is a why? As Rashbam says, Odom yudea shen chamor koine. The person knows the donkey is not koine. I meant to say that whoever could be koine should be koine the entire thing. So that's the three sheetahs in the Gemara over here. Says the Gemara. Now the Gemara is going to focus on this case. How do I know this? That you're koine hakol. Kishus is a type of pumpkin, a gourd. Now, when a person goes and does truma from this gourd, now the Rishonim here discuss exactly the cases. It's complicated. Tosfos has a different one explanation. We'll focus here on the Rashbam. Now, when a person goes and is doing truma on this gourd, the middle of the gourd is bitter. It's not a good truma. The outside of the gourd is delicious fruit. And it works for truma. So he says, don't just go and take and use the gourd as is for truma, because you're going to be using the inside part for truma. It's not good. It's very bitter. So therefore what? The bitter part of the kishus is the inside. You want to do truma of this fruit. This is one way to understand it. The entire pumpkin, entire gourd becomes truma. If I'm doing the entire pumpkin into truma, so therefore what I'm going to do, not the inside part, because that's bitter, but I'm going to do the entire pumpkin, plus I'll add more to replace the inner bitter part. That's how I'm going to use truma. So am I add the chamaru? 1 second. Here he did this pumpkin, this gourd, he made it into truma. He includes in it the bitter part and the not bitter part. The bitter part is not good to be truma. You say, okay, so the non-bitter part will not be truma, but the rest will be truma. So you see from here that when I have one thing that works, one thing that does not work, whatever works, works. Whatever does not work, does not work. It doesn't bother me that in the same sentence I use something which doesn't work. Like the chamor. I'm giving to the person a chamor. A person is koine, chamor is not koine. I'm not saying because the chamor is not koine, the person will not be koine. So here, this pumpkin, this gourd cannot be completely truma. But whatever does work, works. Says the Gemara Shani also, so truma me aliyasei. And well, there is different. Because there it does work. Why it works? Why the bitter part works? So truma, how do you know when you do truma from bad fruit and good fruit? It's good truma. Says when the Torah says you won't have a sin if you make truma from the best fruit. Master, if you make truma from a bad fruit, you will have a sin. you'll sin. It'll be a chet. But not sure it works. Because if it doesn't work, what's the sin? You didn't do anything. The Torah says you will sin if you bake a bad fruit into truma. Mashra, it does work. When you see it does work, it's a sin, but it works. So you may have shots like this. The gourd, the inner part, is truma. It does work as truma. Elamai say he probably doesn't want to use it as truma, so add a little bit more to be yaitza, to do it 100% correct. But it is truma, so that's why it works. But if I say add the chamor cannot be koine, so maybe it's completely void. Says the Gemara, Meiser Ravaya Tiyuvta. So Ravaya brought a question on this whole concept regarding Ad Chamor. Ma'isa b'chamesh noshim. There were 5 women. Ubeim shtei acharos. Remember this, we learned in Maseches Kiddush, in beginning of, in middle of Kiddush, to be exact. So Ma'isa b'chamesh noshim. There were 5 women. Ubeim shtei acharos. So you have 5 women. 2 of the women are sisters. V'liket echod kalkolos shel teirim. Person picked up a basket of figs. V'shelahem oiso. It belonged to them. But shel shvi'is oiso. So these 2 things cancel each other. If it's shvi'is, it's hefker. Shalom means them. It's not theirs because it was hefker. They cancel each other. If it want to be shvi'is, it will be gezel. You can't do kiddush with gezel. I want to use this basket to do kiddush for all of you. One of them accepted it on behalf of everybody else. The sisters are not the kudoshos. Why not? Because you can't marry 2 sisters. So maybe one of them should be. The thing is, if it does not work, he's saying to both of them together. It can't be both, it'll be neither. Fruits. Good, why can't I give it to him? He took fruits of Shvita, it belongs to him, and he did Kiddush with it.
How did he do 5 women? It says Harei at Mekadesh, so it doesn't say at 10.
Okay, good Shaila. Why didn't it say Lashon Rabim? The Pashut shot in the Gemara is that he meant to say Harei at for each one. Like I'm saying it to all of you. Harei at together.
But he didn't.
But it's that's so because he's saying it to all 5, he means to say it for all of them. Efshor does love that kariyat. It could be Harei at. But his intention is to all of them know and understand it that way.
You think it didn't, but no, it doesn't.
So he's because acharos or not, because he can't do it in one shot, he can't do 2 sisters, so neither of them work. But the other 3 do work. Says the Gemara, acharos udeim kodoshos, anochios b'kodoshos. The other ones are kodoshes. Ve'emai ad v'chamoru. This is the classic case. Yun chamor. Remember, in War Kedushin, we brought this. It's yun chamor. Why is it yun chamor? Because he's the same. He's giving a kinyan to the person in a donkey. The donkey doesn't work. Question of the person works. Person works. Here, I mean, machlokes. If it works, it does not work. According to one man numbers, it doesn't work. When I'm giving you kedusha to 5 women, 2 of them don't work. 3 do work. You say the 3 that works. That's a churat v'chamor.
You just said that 4 works, and the sister doesn't work.
That's what we mentioned. When 2 sisters can't work together, so neither of them work. Rashbam says, Rashbam brings, because I don't know who it is, I can't pick and choose, so you can't do bia, so there's no kedushin start at all. Says the Gemara, I saw Rav Huna bar Avaya in my dream. The Moisiv Ravayo Tiyuvto. So some of them showing a little pshat is I saw him asking the question. Others showing a little dim pshat because I saw the dream, and that gave me the indication what will be the answer. The Pash is not. Pash is not. I'll tell you the answer. Basically, because I had the image of Avaya in my dream, they helped me to come to the answer. What's the answer? The answer is he didn't say you're all Mekudoshis. He said whoever could be Mekudoshis will be Mekudoshis, meaning the sisters are not included. So it's not Ad v'Chamor, it's only At. That's the case over here. This is an interesting thing. Hopefully, maybe the Shem will speak on the Shur Machshava. What's the idea of seeing the Ravai in the dream and helping him to get to the answer through that? So this person told a woman, to his wife, Nichsai laich ulevanayich. I'm giving it to you and to the kids. Omar Yosef konsa mechza. She gets 50%. And he's like called maybe redividing the Yerusha. Yeah, it's about Tana.
When it was yesterday, Yerusha doesn't go to the wife.
The Yerusha, yeah, he's giving it to her, and the Lasha that works, which means Achre Miso, right? So konsa mechza, she gets 50%. 50%. And not equally with the kids. Omar Yosef, how do I know that? Says the Gabe Lechem Aponim to give it to Aaron, a Kohen, the Kohen Gadol, and his kids. Mechzel Aaron, Mechzel Banov. Half to Aaron, half to the kids. That's how we learn. More in Yom Dashin. So that's so the same word there we know it's half to Aaron, half to the kids. When he says Aaron and Banov, it means half Aaron, half his kids. So also here when he says the wife and the kids, the wife gets half 50%, and the kids give 50%.
Aaron was the Kohen Gadol, his kids were Kohanim.
Oh, so the Gemara asks a similar question from a different angle. Says the Gemara, Aaron is a Kohen like everybody else. Right? I already know. The same way you're giving to all the kids, you give it to Aaron too. So why when the Torah comes and tells you, listen, Aaron will be different, what does it mean? You get 50%. That's why it says to give him 50%. To say he's different than when don't think he's like a regular Kohen, he's more than a regular Kohen. Isha lav bas Yerusha, like Binyamin said, there's no Yerusha by a woman. So maybe he's not giving her 50%, he's giving her the same portion like the other kids. So if there's 2 kids, she gets a third. Pishnayim, but the other parts, which he should get Pishnayim. Because he gets double whatever any other, but he gets unless he redesignated. Here, there's no reason to say redesignated Chelik HaBechor. Says more there was a story in Ador of Agbe Shmuel Palka. Shmuel gave 50%. But Tverio, there was another story in Tverio of Agbe Rabbi Yochanan Palka. Rabbi Yochanan gave 50%.
But the same story with the
with a woman, he tells the wife and the kids get together. Vetuki also avitzu by Yosef Omar. Ahud make Lilo the Shadu de Bimalko. There was the payment for the crown of the king. That the king went and posted, it was a tax. Abule ve'istaruge. What's a bule istaruge? The Rishbam says Ashirim v'sorim, the rich and the ministers. He says by Mordechai and Haman it says Prusbule beprusbuti. So he went is the bule and Ruki. We're talking about sorim and Ashirim. Amar Rabbi Nesvu Abule Palgo v'istaruge Palgo. So okay, so they have to split it. The rich and the all rich and important. 50% the rich, 50% the important. So what do you see? When it says Abu Yistaruge, it means 50-50. Also, what? Oh, very good. So the Rishbam points out the Abuli are rich, much richer. They have much more money. So why you decide to 50-50? Because once you say 2 names, you say it's 50-50, even though you have a svara to divide it differently. So the same way over here, when you have a wife, I give you 50-50, even though you have a svara to do it differently. Even though it's not exactly the same. It's a good point. Says the Gemara, I have another reason why to Michal. Also, what happened before, in the normal case, the king used to give that tax, the rich people used to pay it. And the important people, they joined in. They gave 10%. But the rich people are the ones who took the main part. The king knew the regular deal. Why now he's changing the usual language and he's saying maybe the Anipal gave Anipal. In other words, the reason why you're saying here 50-50 because it was a change. It was clear that's what the king meant. But usually when he says wife and kids, it doesn't mean 50-50. So not a right. Mezer of Zero asked of Zero a question. We know that how much goes into a plea, how much is sorin, into the bisa, that you put the mincha inside, you can put in only 60. That's the famous Gemara of Kol Roy Lebila Bila Makivas Boy. It needs to be 60 where you can mix the oil better. Not to get to this sugi right now. The sugar we need for now is the pisa, the big vessel where you put the mincha in, can hold up to 60. And he said, I'm bringing 100 into a keli. Obviously, because you could put only 60 in the main. So you divide it, so you have to split it. How do you split it? Maybe she should be clear. So you give 60 in one and 40 the other. So the base. If he wants to split it 50-50, it's also good. You see, usually when I'm saying this lashon, I'm not splitting it 50-50. You're splitting 60-40. So also by us, why are you saying split 50-50? If you say always, when you say two, it's 50-50, it should be 50-50. We're on the Tzadeh that he really wanted to do one very large mincha, 100. He really wanted to give 100. You can't give 100 in one shot. Had the call mistake kalim, so why is this splitting into two different kalim? The yoda the lev shall asu b'kli echad. He knows you can't bring 100 in one kli. Hamadiv shall asu yimesina. That's why I say bring 60. 60 is the max you can bring in one kli. The fact that he's saying 100 shows he wants to bring as much as possible in once. Can't bring 100, let's make it 60. So usually it'll be 50-50, but here he's showing his intention. He wants to be more. Says the Gemara, the three sugis, the Rav Yosef, in this Masech, says Basra, he said something we pass in that way. Sada is what we learned in the beginning of the Masechta, that and after you base, when it says that a person had a field next to the brothers, you say Din de Bar Metzra. And then the second one is Inyan. Earlier in Perek Yeshnoichlim, we learned how long can you be choiz, you could change your mind. So Rabbi says, Kozman Shasuki Boiso Inyan, and Meftz is over here. It holds that when you give it to a wife, you gave her 50%. We're asking that way. And as Rashbam says, the big discussion in Rishonim, that usually we see from here, Allah is like Rabbah against Rav Yosef. But here, Rav Yosef, we pass in these three places like Rav Yosef. Does it apply only to Bava Basra, to all the Shas? That's a discussion. Someone sent pieces of coat, of clothing, to different clothes to his house. Whenever is a man's coat, give it to the man, to the boys. Whenever is a woman's coat, give it to the woman. It's only if he doesn't have a daughter-in-law. If he has a daughter-in-law, he gives to the daughter-in-law. Interesting concept. He wants to appease the daughter-in-law. He gives her the whole thing. It says the Gemara, that's only the daughters are married. So the daughters are married, he says, their shver will take care of them. And I'll take care of my daughter-in-law. But if they're not married, the daughters, so he's taking care of the daughters. So I'm giving my properties to my children. Havle bro ubarto. He had a boy and a girl. He said the bonai means to my boys. Sorry, to clear it. So I'm giving my nechasi to my boys. He had a boy and a girl. So what do we say? Mi koru inche leboro bonai. Do you say that the boy, even though he says plural, so he says boys, even for one boy you say boys loshon ravin. Maybe the reason he says boys, he means his boy and his girl. Children, even though he said boys. In Hebrew, that's the right, in Lashon HaKodesh, that's the right diktuk. When I have a boy and a girl, I say bonim. I say bonim, not plural. Does he call the boy also bonim? Yeah. The point is, it's correct Lashon HaKodesh. So if he said, gave it to my boys, does he mean one boy and just says plural to singular? Or he means a boy and a girl, he means boys. That's the one he asks. Bring a raya. Ubnei Dan, the children of Dan, the boys of Dan, were what? Chushim. That's only one. So you see, for one, you use Loshen plural. Or Loshen Rabbi.
What's the wrong? What would the wrong be?
Bonai. Bnei. Doesn't say Ben Dan. It says Bnei Dan. Bnei is Loshen Rabbi. Right? Maybe the reason it says Loshen Rabbi really was only one boy, but he had so many children, like what it means, like reeds. The Maharal explains over here, what is the big mile of the reeds? They grow all in one shot. he, in the next generation, he had multiple kids. Like he had many, many kids. So that's why it says Bnei, not because he is only one, but he had so many kids coming after him. Ela Maral bring you all the rice. It says Ubnei Palu, the boys of Palu, Eliyav, only one. Another puzzle. Ubnei Eson Azariah, the boys of Eson Azariah. So you see that you can use Losharami for one. So here when the person says Bonai, give it to my boys, my inheritance doesn't mean his daughter, it means only his boy. I'm giving my nechosim to my boys. And he has a son and a grandson. Now what the question is. Does someone call his grandchild the child of that? Oh. So Chaviva says, yeah, they do. They don't call. Tani can say that a person says, I'm not going to enjoy my boys, doesn't mean my grandchildren. Hi, what about me, Bani Kibonim? Look at the Rashba right for the Mishnah. Mutter b'nei bonim. Where do we find b'nei bonim kivonim? Legabe priya v'rivyo. Is mekayim the mitzvah priya v'rivyo when he has b'nei bonim kivonim. So do we say b'nei bonim kivonim or not? Says the Rashbam, not for every case we say b'nei bonim kivonim. But in Nidarim, b'nei bonim are not kivonim. But first it says his loshon, he means boys, not the grandchildren. Legabe priya v'rivyo, did mekayim priya v'rivyo when he has, let's say he has only boys and his son has a daughter, then you say that b'nei bonim kivonim, but not for everything. So there was one where he gives us this the kuda, and then there's a lot, and then the Rishonim, to what extent, when do I say b'nei bonim kivonim or not? And this goes into the sugya as well. We'll stop over here, Be'ez Hashem, and continue on Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.